What's up, everyone? This is Be Well Informed. It's probably going to be the last Becoming Aligned episode for a while. So this episode's called Understanding Judgments. What are judgments really? Where do they come from? And what is the root? Element or the root understanding of what a judgment is. And this understanding can help you to go beyond, or at least understand why you have judgments. Because what a lot of people will do is they'll have a judgment, or they'll see somebody else judging a situation, and they'll go, "Oh, this judgment's bad," or "This person's bad for judging," and they don't see it for what it is. And so, what needs to be done is you need to see judgment for what it is. So what is judgment really? What does it mean to judge? Judgment, another word for judgment is concern. If it's not concerned about the person and that you're judging, it's concerned about your identity, your belief system, or your morals that are being questioned or threatened or whatever. One of the interesting things that you may notice when you're looking at judgment, or any kind of any kind of negative emotion, like anger, is one of the interesting things about these emotions is that there's a sort of a protection mechanism going on here, in a sense. Particularly when dealing with anger. We're particularly talking about anger. Anger, why is anger a thing? Why are you angry? Because you see a situation. Actually, let me turn this volume mixer thing down a little bit. Maybe it was a little too high. Hold on. Anyways, sorry about that. I just had it a little bit too high. It should work. That's a little better. Anyways, so what judgment and anger, what anger does, what anger is well, think about why you're angry. What is the reason for it? It's because of concern for something that is being violated. Maybe you're angry because somebody did something to you that you didn't want them to do. So it's concern about yourself, concern about somebody violating your identity in some way. And this is something that I've talked about in my podcast, but I haven't really talked about it on this YouTube channel very often. I might talk about it more on the next video that I make. But one of the things that happens, one of the things that most people focus on is what I call the surface level. But there's actually certain levels that are below this, that are actually more important to understanding, are more important to understanding why this thing is what it is. And the reason is because the surface level is more of like a reaction or protection of the surface or of the sub-levels, or is a direct sort of reaction or mechanism caused by the sub levels. So a good example is, let's say, a judgment. Like if you're judging somebody because of something they did, there's a sub level that says that thing that they did was wrong or bad or whatever. And in order to deal with the sub level, the sub level, really, there was a sub level that was created that says that was created unconsciously. See, one of the problems here is that these things were done and created unconsciously, and so what this means is that because they're unconscious, you don't realize that they're there and they exist, and so you think that these judgments are that you don't think much deeper than just that the judgments are happening, because you don't realize that there are sub levels and sub levels and even sub levels and beyond that even possibly that are controlling this and that are making this happen. So the sub level would be, well, the judgment would be, you shouldn't be doing this because of whatever reason or whatever. And the sub level would be, because this, and it's not like 100% like a linear process where you're going to have a level, then a sub-level, and then a sub-level. But it's easier to understand it in this way, like levels and then sub-levels, so that you can see how this works. Because the sub-levels are usually the unconscious levels. And so what a judgment is doing is it's protecting your identity. It's protecting you from whatever this thing was that the person did. The judgment is like the mind's attempt to protect you from what is, happening. And one of the interesting things that this does is that this then creates a new way of looking at things, and then when you see this, you're like, oh, and then you're putting the humanity back into your judgment, so to speak, and back into other people, because the reason why people don't see other people as, doing the right thing or human or whatever is because they don't understand, they don't see the sub-level. And when you don't see the sub-level, and no matter how twisted or corrupted it is, you really don't understand human motivation and human understanding. And you don't understand why other people are doing what they're doing, let alone yourself. And so one of the results of this is you're going to be judging more people, and you're going to be looking at people with this good/bad paradigm, because you don't understand that there's a sub-level that's involved that you're not even seeing. You're not even seeing it within yourself because it's so unconscious. So a judgment is a concern or a worry. A worry, if not for other people, then for your particular identity, your motivations, or whatever it might be. Now, it could be as simple as like they judge me and then I judge them back because of my concern that I'm being attacked, and so I have to defend backwards or I have to attack them. So it's not just about concern about other people or yourself. It's concern about, or it's not concern about people. It's concern about your identity, yourself, and whatever else, your morals, whatever it would be. So keep this in mind, and try and look at the sub levels here that I'm trying to point you to, because if you don't see these sub levels that are controlling, they're pretty much controlling your entire life. If you don't see them, if you don't understand them, and you don't see them for what they are, you will fall into this trap over and over and over and over again of judgment and, dehumanization, demonization, or whatever. And so it's really important to keep this idea in mind when you're looking at yourself and others. So, anyways, this is Be Well Informed. Might start making more YouTube videos here again because there's a lot to talk about. I usually do what I usually do is a podcast called David Speaks. You can find it on all podcast platforms. But Anchor lately has been changing things up a little too much. So I don't want to necessarily be dependent on just one platform. So I'm going to be doing some videos here. Maybe changing some things up on the podcast as well. Possibly, depending on what happens. Anyways, this is Be Well Informed, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.